Everybody! It's time again for Regency Love. Oh my word. Okay, so I decided to take a little breaky break from this game because it is sort of repetitive. Like all the storylines are totally different, but like it's a little repetitive like in the very beginning. So I was like, let me just like take a little break, come back in maybe January, because the last time it says that I played this game was 13th of December 2023 at 11:02 p.m. So it's been a bit more of a break than I anticipated, but here we are. So let's see, when last we played, I was Elizabeth Sharp. And I married James Graham. Turned out really nicely. Previously to that, I was somebody else. And let's see who I was. I was Catherine Fairfield. And I apparently finished this in November? I have no idea. I did the storyline with the Mr. Darcy-esque type of guy whose name escapes me. It'll come to me at some point. So that means that we have one more like true storyline with like another heartthrob dude, and then after I finish this one, that means I will be doing the If All Else Fails man, which is the dopey guy. Digby? Mr. Digby? That's the one. All right, let's get started. I hope you're ready. I have missed this game. I love this game so much. All right, new game. Let's do a random name. Rivers. Ooh, now that's a cool name. Okay, what's our given name? Emilia. That is a really cute name. And she can be called Emmy for short. All right. Okay. We are Emilia Rivers. All delightful stories revolve around others, and so preoccupied you are with theirs that you do not notice stumbling upon your very own tale. As you arrive in the little town of Darlington, oh, it's so darling, you encounter an air full of warm chatter and the scent of freshly baked bread while the sun shines overhead. A few of the townspeople smile when they see you, before they return to their business and leave you to yours. You take a moment to survey the familiar people and shops and cobblestones. It has been too long since you have felt so content. You see Mary approaching. She appears to be in very high spirits. Dearest Emilia, it is so good to see you out and about, and in cheerful colors once more. If I'm not mistaken, it has been a year and a day, has it not? How are you feeling? Let's see. Okay. I'm as well as can be expected. Thank you ever so much for your concern, Mary. We all miss your father, Emilia. Papa still reminisces about their decades of friendship. Does anything in particular bring you to town today, or are you just taking some air and stretching your legs? Let's see. A little of both, I think. Mama has assigned me the task of sending a letter through the post. A letter! A letter? Addressed to your aunt? But I thought your mother and your aunt had always been at odds with each other. What was that noise? We'll ignore that. I dare say I am as baffled as you are. My attempts to pry any information from Mama were unsuccessful. Well, I suppose there must be some urgent business behind this. I hope all is well, for you deserve great happiness, my dear Emilia. I'm sorry to be in such haste, but I am also running some errands, albeit for my sisters. I do hope we will see each other again soon, Emilia. Yes, I cannot wait until we can talk some more. Remember, she's our bestie. Mary has made a fair point about the enmity between your mother and your aunt. You look at the letter in your hands and wonder if anything is amiss. You are suddenly afraid something ill has befallen your dear brother, who has been estranged from your family for years, and whom you have not seen since he left the household when you were a little girl. You dispel your anxiety by reminding yourself that Mama would inform you of any news concerning your brother. Whatever lies within the letter cannot be of such an urgent nature. Determined now to complete your task, you make your way towards the post office window. If you hurry, you may be in time for the mail coach that departs at noon. However, you suddenly find yourself colliding with a stranger. Oh, look, it's my past husband. Oh, pardon me. I am terribly sorry, ma'am. If I remember right, this guy is really hard to shake, so we need to be as rude to him as possible. So you should be more apologetic and less absent-minded. Please do accept my apologies. I admit I was a little preoccupied, but that is no excuse. Are you hurt? Even if I were, there is nothing you can do. Truly, ma'am, I apologize. I do not wish to compound my offenses towards such a fair lady as yourself by keeping you from your business. Have a good day, ma'am. And you. Leave me alone, because I'm going after somebody else. Oh no. You arrive at the postal window with enough time to spare. The postal clerk stamps your mother's letter with a pleasant smile, and you are relieved at having completed your task. There is still some time left before you must be home for tea. Look at the kitty. Meow. A man. Some peeps. I can't talk to the lady? Oh, yes, I can. Okay. You'll never guess who I saw the other day. Oh, married Mr. Danfair. Oh, shock. Ah, Miss Rivers, I have not seen the likes of you for some time. Are you well? How is your mother? I hope she is not still distraught by your father's passing. Rest his soul. He is with the good Lord now and has found peace, which is of utmost importance, I will have you know. Poor Mr. Norris is also with the good Lord, and oh, how it still brings tears to my eyes. He was such a gentle soul, my Mr. Norris, and knew very well the virtue of silence, which is also important, my dear. One winter, when our cart lost its wheel and was stranded on the road, this is the old cart, the one before we replaced it, my dear. Mr. Norris took Sam and walked home for all 3 miles in 5 inches of snow. Oh, how he loved Sam so dearly, but Sam is also gone now, rest the poor creature's soul. For the Lord is gracious, and he must have a place in heaven for horses too, else Mr. Norris might refuse to stay there and leave poor Sam alone. My Mr. Norris is quite the stubborn man, though he never let it show, except to those closest to him. Oh, my Mr. Norris, how I miss him so. Mrs. Norris, I'm so sorry for your loss. Do not be silly, my dear. It has been almost a decade since his passing, and though I miss him so, my poor Mr. Norris, he is with the Lord. He is in the Lord's hands, and he is at peace. And what of you, my dear? How have you been? Oh, it is very good to finally see you again, and not clothed in your mourning attire. I once had a niece. Well, I still have a niece. It is not as if I suddenly woke up one day and discovered she was lost, though that would be quite the tale, uncanny as it might be. Oh, I do not dare think of it, for there are such dreadful stories about disappearances and sightings. Dreadful, dreadful things. I read one of those books from the circulating library because it was recommended to me, and not of my own accord, of course, and alarming tales. And what of your niece? No, my niece was not in any of the stories, and I do not think she will read them. Oh, I certainly hope she does not. But I am not here to talk about my niece, Miss Rivers. Ah, but I have remembered. Did you know Mr. Worthington has returned to Darlington, and with a gentleman in his company? Here we go. This is what we're looking for. A fine fellow from what I have heard, though I have not been personally acquainted with him yet, of course. It is always lovely when handsome gentlemen decide to visit, for they usually make good friends. Not always, mind you, and you do need to be careful. For there are some unscrupulous figures out there, and it is sad times we live in, my dear, but I do love to make new friends, and I do love to speak with them about all manner of things, and oh, I believe I am keeping you. Pardon me for taking your time, Miss Rivers, but I do hope you are well, and your mother too, and your dear brother, though it has been too long since we saw him last. Poor Christopher, he is always such a promising young lad, but yes, you must leave now and carry on with your own business. She is something else. Anyway, oh, here's Mr. Dopey himself. My lovely Miss Rivers, you are as fair today as a field of fair flowers. Yes, thank you. I fear I must leave now. Goodbye. You follow the well-worn path with a light spring in your step. While you walk, your footsteps become drowned by another equally familiar sound. You find an unobtrusive, that's a hard word for me to say apparently, unobtrusive spot beside the trail and step aside to allow for a horse and its rider to pass. So handsome. The stranger nods at you and thanks and continues on. That's also my ex-husband, not an ex-husband, a different character's husband. Mr. Ashcroft, that's who it is, yes. The Darcy-esque guy. There's Mama now. Emilia, where have you been? You have been gone almost half a day and only to post a letter, no less. Sorry, Mama. I stopped to talk a little with our friends who have been concerned about our well-being. I did not know I would take so long. Yes, well, I suppose that is acceptable so long as you behaved properly. Have some faith in me, Mama. But enough of that prattle. We are expecting guests very shortly, so hurry along, child, and make yourself presentable. Heavens, is that mud on your shoes? Go to, Amelia. Oh my goodness, leave me alone. I didn't think we were receiving guests today. Nor I, but the calling card arrived while you were out. Now hurry along and change your attire. Fine. How curious, there are certainly a few new faces around Darlington. You managed to catch a glimpse of a handsome stranger in the woods as he passed by, though he seemed to be in haste. You also managed to escape Mr. Digby's attentions. It's not that he's particularly disagreeable, but rather his conversation a little dull. All right. Father's old friends are visiting. This is where our story begins. Mr. and Mrs. Worthington, it is so lovely to see you both again. Ah, Miss Rivers, it has been far too long. I trust you both found Europe to your liking. Yes, indeed. Mr. Worthington and I spent a great deal of time in Rome, which was much more temperate and most favorable. And you, Mrs. Rivers, I cannot believe the last year has been easy on you with old Rivers passing. Please accept our late condolences. Mr. Worthington and I are most apologetic for our delayed return. The Europeans are not so efficient with their post, despite the very detailed forwarding instructions we left. It was only 2 months ago that we finally received your letters. Oh, do not continue to trouble yourself with such thoughts. I thank you again for your prompt response and for your hasty return to England. Will you be staying long? Yes, Mrs. Worthington and I are both happy to be home, and this time for good. But alas, Darlington shall never be the same. Rivers was indeed the dearest friend I ever had, and it saddens me deeply that he is no longer with us. But if I have counted correctly, today marks a new start, does it not? I see neither of you are sporting your mourning attire. Yes, you are quite right. A year and a day since Mr. Rivers left us. And Miss Rivers, how are you faring? Sorry. I am as well as I can be, given the circumstances. I applaud your resilience, my dear. The loss of a father deals a great blow from which one cannot fully recover. But take heart, my dear Miss Rivers, for Mr. Worthington and I are here for you should you need our counsel or assistance. Indeed, perhaps I would go further to say that I feel you are in my cow now. You're in my care now, Miss Rivers. Given your father and I were the closest of friends, almost brothers, I feel I must see to it that you obtain the happiness old Rivers would have wanted for you. I hope I am not being too forward. Quite the contrary, Mr. Worthington. I am sure Amelia is grateful for your concern, as am I. My dear Miss Rivers, I am sure you know that the way to secure happiness is by marrying a kind gentleman with the means to provide for you. Oh, is that how we get happiness? Thanks. I do not say this to belittle your intelligence, but to stress the importance of this point. And what of love? How highly would you regard that, Mr. Worthington? As much as it pains me to say so, I must confess that although love is preferable, it is not a necessity. In order to achieve your future happiness, there are certain accomplishments a lady must possess. You are a gentleman's daughter, and you must embody that in every way, be it in your attire, talents, or intellect. You have grown into a handsome young woman, but you must not neglect your skill in the arts in cultivating a fine and sensitive mind. I do hope she will heed your words, for my daughter has seldom spent any time practicing her skills lately. Well, you know what? Leave me alone. Do not be so harsh on her, for the poor child has lost a father just as you have lost a husband. I am sure she will change her ways and begin polishing her accomplishments. I believe Miss Rivers understands what she must do. Now, Mrs. Rivers, Mrs. Worthington, and I have decided to host the first dinner upon our return at Casterbridge Court for a small gathering of my most intimate acquaintances. We would be honored and delighted if you and Miss Rivers could join us. The honor is ours. I have a tongue tonight. The honor is ours. Thank you, Mr. Worthington, Mrs. Worthington, for your friendship. Think not of it. I'm afraid we must return to Casterbridge Court now, as there is much to be done after such a long absence. Yes, of course. Thank you ever so much for calling, and for showing such concern for Amelia. Not at all. Amelia, do you remember what I have said? Okie dokie. Mr. Worthington is a sensible man and a very old friend of father's. It would be wise to heed his words and work toward becoming the model of an accomplished gentlewoman. Okie dokie. I feel like I remember how to answer these things because I've played this game many times. Cost of goods. Not piano. Okay. I need to get reading to 4 before I can go to the ball. Give some other things some love. All right, let's go to the ball. All right, look, here's the guy we're going after. Hee. Mr. Worthington is going to introduce us to his friend. I'm looking for a man in finance. Trust fund. 6'5", blue eyes. You have entered Mr. Worthington's home for the first time. You're impressed by its stateliness. Mr. Curtis, I have not seen you all evening and have begun to wonder if you've come at all. Now, I know there are unfamiliar faces, but there's no need to keep entirely to yourself. Surely my preference for solitude is not causing anyone harm. But the ladies will grieve for your presence. Ladies with whom I am not acquainted. Acquainted? He's not acquainted with these people. I can see they're simply overcome with melancholy. Ah, how I've missed your cutting remarks, my friend. But I suppose you wish to make an introduction. I shall allow it if the lady permits. I have no objections. Well, Mr. Curtis, this is Miss Amelia Rivers, the only daughter of my late friend. Miss Rivers, I know Mr. Curtis from my years at Oxford. How do you do, Miss Rivers? I'm quite sure you shall find you have much in common. Indeed. He seems like... That was a very, very Snape answer of his, to be like, indeed. Now, Curtis, don't look so glum lest you frighten poor Miss Rivers. But you must excuse me, as I believe I see Mrs. Reed, and I'm sure you know the magnitude of Mrs. Reed's patience. Miss Rivers, I suppose I'm expected to inquire as to your current state of being? It is very good of you to do so, and as I am very well. And how are you faring? As well as one can be when they are surrounded by a room full of ladies all so eager for a gentleman's attention. I've become convinced that being a recipient is surely of such consequence that they'll feel they must flutter their eyes until they're about to swoon. Oh goodness, there are so many things to say. Should I compliment him? What should I do? Let's try complimenting him and see if it goes badly. And of course, you gentlemen are always so kind to oblige, sporting the most handsome attire in your possession to justify such flattering. Your waistcoat, for one, is doing quite a marvelous job. Oh, he smiled! Okay, I think we're doing okay. Of all my qualities, you have singled out my waistcoat. I assure you, Miss Rivers, that I take great offense. On another note, I believe I should mention that Mr. Worthington has indicated you have a fondness for reading. Ooh, yes I do. Indeed, I find that lately I am spending a considerable amount of time ensconced in a chair with a book in my lap. An excellent way to spend an afternoon. As delightful as our conversation has been, I believe our host is about to announce dinner. Perhaps we may converse further at a later time. Okay, indeed we may. After dinner. Miss Rivers, I trust that you enjoyed your meal? Very much so. I have not dined with Mr. Worthington in recent memory, but this evening has exceeded my expectations. You have a pensive look about you. May I inquire as to your thoughts? Oh, my apologies. I didn't mean to be rude, but I find that my mind has been occupied by some recent reading. Is that so? And what is this literary masterpiece to be so worthy of your attention? Okay. Oh, I think I remember that he likes Shakespeare. I chanced upon a book of sonnets written by William Shakespeare, and I think they're very lovely. I dare say the sonnets are rather wonderful creations. I remember reading them in my youth, though I now feel compelled to revisit them. Do you favor any particular piece? I wish I remember which one he liked. Let's just start. Let's just try. Let's see what goes on. I have committed Sonnet 73 to memory. That time of year thou mayst in me behold. Indeed, the joy and splendor of youth and the inevitable decay we must all face as the seasons change. But you should not be concerned with such heavy thoughts. What were the other options? I could not stop rereading Sonnet 18. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Ah, the timeless beauty that has been captured in poetry, when in eternal lines to time thou growst, simply exquisite. I'm quite partial to the last line. So long lives this, and this gives life to thee. It is such a simple statement, yet so profound, and as enduring as Master Shakespeare predicted. Have you been acquainted with Sonnet 53? It is the poem that has remained with me throughout these years. I may have come across it in my perusal of the sonnets, but I'm afraid I do not have any recollections of that particular piece. If you hold it in such high esteem, then I shall revisit my book and look for it. I am pleased to hear it. I look forward to our future discussion. Alright, I guess I did okay there. Okay, I've got to get reading to 7 to see him again. He captured an enemy ship. Fancy embroidery. Was there another one here? All the above. Alright, I need 7. That's right. Okay. Go back. Okay. Doing good. Doing good. Another Worthington ball at Castridge Court. Miss Rivers, although your countenance suggests otherwise, I feel obliged to inquire as to your enjoyment of this evening thus far. Finance. Trust fund. 6'5". Blue eyes. Look, isn't that like literally? Like literally him. I'm trying to decide how this evening should go. Oh yes, the present company is most charming. Mr. Worthington is very much a gracious host. Wait, why did he seem so upset about that? I should leave that to your excellent judgment and powers of observation. I see you are as diplomatic as ever, Miss Rivers. But now it is simply not your demeanor, but also your very speech that speaks of your complete adoration of these balls. Pray tell, what could possibly entice you to return to these rooms time and time again? There's nothing to entice me if you haven't noticed, Mr. Curtis. I am tedious to the brink. The delightful company, of course. I could happily spend an entire evening watching your dear friends flit around the room in the most exorbitant of manners. I do hope you'll be kind enough to inform me of my grave error if you ever chance upon me flitting. Alas, such events are considered essential among our acquaintances, and as much as it pains me to admit, they are the established doctrines of today. The ladies are expected to constantly improve upon and then exhibit all their fair qualities. The gentlemen are fortunate enough to follow their own pursuits if they desire, so long as they make the occasional appearance at a ball or two. Let's talk about feminism. If I am not mistaken, you sound as if you disapprove of the role which we women are assigned to play. Not entirely. I'm an advocate for self-improvement. Making a spectacle of oneself in order to attract attention at every given opportunity, however, is yet another matter. What are your thoughts on this subject? I admit that, against my better judgment, I am mildly curious. Let's talk. Oh my goodness, the AC in this room is so cold, and I am barefoot. I really should have turned on Do Not Disturb during this. There we go. Okay. Half the population. Half the population is not given their due. Women should not be deemed gentler or fairer, or all other such terms which are simply politer ways of saying lesser. Ooh. I don't know if that was maybe the right thing to say. I wonder if he would be like, no, not gonna marry her. Our society is as it is. I do not favor the circumstances, but there is nothing I can do even if I wish to implement any changes. Ah, shoot. I'm not satisfied with the status quo. I'm gonna say that. Enough of such thoughts. We shall discuss this subject at a later time. I bid you a good evening, Miss Rivers. Well, you know what? I don't care if I made a mistake, because I'm gonna be a feminist. Dang it. Pride relates more to our opinion of ourselves, blank to what we would have others think of us. Let's see. Let's play. Oh, jeez. I have no idea what that was. Miss Rivers, may I hazard a guess that your current state of contemplation results from your consideration of some recent reading? Indeed, my latest preoccupation has been with the earlier English novels. They have proven to be quite educational, though those lessons are sometimes unexpected. And which novels in particular have caught your recent interest? I admit I'm quite familiar with them. Ooh. Oh. I have no idea what any of these are. Let's start at the beginning. I was most intrigued. Okay, I know what some of them are. let's put it that way. I was most intrigued by Love and Excess, written by Mrs. Eliza Haywood. Excess indeed. Oh, okay, he doesn't like that one. Okay. Samuel Richardson's Pamela was especially resonant with me. Ah, yes, Richardson. Some find him stifling, but his lack of overt proclamations only served to distinguish him as a magnificent writer. How did you find his writing? I enjoyed it immensely. He imbues such power in his words that I can feel their weight even after several years. It is quite refreshing to be in the company of one who can appreciate such things, Miss Rivers. I do so enjoy our discussions of literature, Miss Rivers, though it is unavoidable that our opinions may sometimes be incongruent. Incongruent? That's the word. I would find the most tedious goodnight. No. Ooh, okay. That's a good option. I find our discussions to be equally enjoyable, Mr. Curtis. I am increasingly eager to discover new reading material so that we can continue to share our thoughts. That was it. Alrighty. Trust fund. Finance. False. He should not dance with me that much. It's wrong. Spending this season, we're going to London. Correct. Kidoki. Laudanum. It was addictive. Okay, what do we need? Wait, what did I need? Oh, there. Pushing too many buttons. Okay, music at 2, dancing to 4, drawing to 2. Okay, music and drawing to dancing 4. Music and drawing 2, dancing 4. Okay, oh wait, I can just like add some to everything. Okay. Another Worthington ball. Seems the last small ball was quite a success, and the Worthingtons are holding a slightly larger one with a few more guests. Your host insists that you and your mother attend. Of course we'll come. Of course. Miss Rivers, I suspect. I see a glint of longing directed at those in the Polonaise. Would I be correct in assuming you have a certain fondness for dancing? Oh, well, certainly. Oh, that would be kind of fun to say. Let's see if he smiles if I say it. My dear Mr. Curtis, when will you learn that I cannot simply be neatly folded and fitted into one of your boxes? I do enjoy dancing, but in the absence of such, I can still keep myself sufficiently entertained. Ooh. Ah, but the joy of conversing with you is discovering that there is always more to your person. I'm doing good. Alas, instead of wasting hours committing a tedious set of steps to memory, all young ladies should be familiarizing themselves with the words of Homer, Plato, and Milton. Not simply the young ladies, Mr. Curtis. I believe everyone should be acquainted with such works. I am most pleased to hear it. But it is simply not enough for only those with means to have the opportunity of learning. Words belong not to a select few, but all. Oh, that's right. He cares. I agree wholeheartedly. We must all endeavor to better ourselves, not as individuals, but collectively. And it must begin with fortunate individuals like yourself. If a man neglects education, he walks lame to the end of his life. Surely every man and woman deserves to walk unchecked. Huh. Wait. I remember some of the story, and I don't want to choose wrong here. But it is so very difficult for a man to obtain an education in the first place if he is not in a position to receive it. Perhaps he is willing to learn only to find the doors closed to him. Then it is not a simple matter of opening the door, Miss Rivers. Oops. I messed up. Wait. Plato spoke true, as do you. It is not in our place to deny those who wish to seek a little learning, though it may be a dangerous thing. Pope spoke true also. I find your acquaintance with the realms of philosophy and literature most reassuring. As always, it has been a pleasure conversing with you, Miss Rivers. Likewise, Mr. Curtis, I find our discussions most stimulating. So we're not going to dance? Ah, Miss Rivers, how opportune that you have sought me out again this evening. I meant to inquire earlier about a certain exercise in reading. You are referring to Sonnet 53, I presume? Precisely. And the poem was to your liking, I hope. Oh yes, it was superb. Having a constant heart is the most precious thing of all. You have hit the mark, and I have nothing more to add. I have become quite fond of sonnets as of late, and spent hours reading and rereading them. I am currently reacquainting myself with Donne's holy sonnets, which are simply exquisite. I have heard of Donne, but I have never read his writings. Why, you do not mean to tell me you have been ignorant of Donne's words. Oh my goodness! Yes, I mean to tell you just that. We are not all privileged enough to have an extensive library as you must possess, Mr. Curtis. I apologize for being sharp. I was simply taken aback, though that is no excuse. No Donne in your library. That will not do, Miss Rivers. Mr. Curtis appears rather distracted and a little distressed, even, and abruptly ends your conversation. Be not afraid of greatness. Some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them. Alright, we've got quite a bit. Alright, doing good. You have been invited to a ball. Okay. Miss Rivers, if I am not mistaken, the smile you are currently sporting, though it is not at all unpleasing, marks you as quite the predator. Okay. Hello.
Filming?
Yes, I am.
Hi, Internet.
How are you doing?
I saw 2 sobs on the way home.
Nice.
That white convertible that we've seen. Remember the old couple we cornered at Lowe's at the 9000? I saw him and I waved frantically and he honked at me.
Nice.
If it wasn't getting dark, I would have like casually followed him to see where he's going because I wanted to strike up a conversation, talk to him.
Hey John, I'm filming a video. Don't be creepy.
I have a request.
What?
It's a black 9000. It's got a disabled veteran.
If I ever find it, I'll call them.
Talk to them. Give them my number.
Okay.
Because I want to stay in contact with them.
Okay. I love you.
Hi, Internet. We didn't get the car fixed. That looks like Snape.
I know. I know.
So cut that up how you will.
I'm not cutting it at all. This is all staying in the video.
Great. So stalking sob owners.
Yeah.
Rue's gonna love it. Is it Rue?
Lou. Yeah, Lou is gonna be like, oh, there's Creepy John again. All right, back to the story. I assure you, Mr. Curtis, I am hardly performing at the height of my ability. Please be so kind as to inform me of your intentions should you decide to reach that height. And what is your purpose in singling me out? The room is full of spirited gentlemen who would gladly make your acquaintance. Oh, yes, but see, I've already met all the other guys. It is just that I happen to love this music, and if you are not otherwise preoccupied, I think I would enjoy dancing with you. Oh, no! You're being exceptionally forward, Miss Rivers. Ah, no. Okay, fine. You do not appear to be at all delighted by your company, and I thought we might both assuage our boredom by joining the next dance. I am not inclined to prancing about the room in an ill-mannered fashion. It would serve you well to seek elsewhere. I mean, that would be pretty fun. Hi, Salem. Do you want to come up? Come on up. Come on up. Come on. Come on up. Come on. Come into my lap. Come on. Come on. There we go. Surely the prospect of the saturnine Mr. Curtis prancing about would give everyone in this room reason to question if they have had too much wine. Do you not wish to see the reaction on their faces? I'm either going to say that or, but rather than thinking of it as indulging an inclination, we should approach this as an experiment of sorts. Cattail. I see you are appealing to my penchant for investigation. I suppose I shall acquiesce, Miss Rivers. Come now, this piece is almost at its end. Mr. Curtis leads you to join the upcoming line dance and promptly assumes his position. When the music begins, the movements are precise, if a little rigid. So, we are dancing. Are you quite satisfied? We are dancing. I am more interested in knowing your level of satisfaction, Mr. Curtis. It is quite curious and rather foolish that you should care what I think. Of course I care to hear your thoughts and opinion. It pains me to think that you value yourself so little. A force of habit, perhaps, but I appreciate your concern. Now that I have unearthed your most unfortunate proclivity for prancing, do you have any other interests which I should be aware? There are so many interests. You have already discovered my fondness for books. There is no need for anything else. Indeed. I suppose we all have our particular preferences to make our days less dull. I'm obliged to ask the same of your interests, though. I beseech you, give me a quick and direct answer. What do you enjoy most, Mr. Curtis? I have answered, and now it is your turn. I have a fondness for words, as you have no doubt noticed, and I am partial to art and music, but above all, I find solace and peace in quiet, in which one can truly reflect and discover. At last it seems the music has ended. Thank you for the pleasure of your company. Let's try this one. Dancing with you has been most enjoyable, but it is your company I value more. Despite your misgivings, I do hope that you will continue to attend these balls. We shall see, Miss Rivers. Let's see. How little of blank happiness could belong to a couple who were only brought together because their passions were stronger than their virtue? What is this word? Permanent. Okay. Finance. Trust Fund. Worthington. There are so many Worthington balls. Oh my gosh. Miss Rivers, I see from the unmistakable spark in your eyes you are once again curious about something to which you wish to know the answer. Perceptive as usual, Mr. Curtis. I dare say I am quite impressed. Very well. I shall hear your question then. Let us hope, for both our sakes, that it will not merit a dull response. Oh man. Okay, so these are two interesting options here. I believe the last time we spoke of etiquette and expectations, our observations were limited to ladies and their pursuits. I thought it would be polite to extend our conversation to include your gender too. I could not help but notice that you tend to pass most of these dinners in solitude and wondered if it is merely personal preference. That, and I wish to offer you my companionship should you so desire it. That is not true. I believe we have spoken on many occasions. As for your offer, I am grateful for it. However, I am not simply idling here of my own volition. I, along with many other gentlemen, am obliged to play a certain role at such events, though they certainly seem to derive far greater pleasure from such frivolities. You are far too severe on your own sex, Mr. Curtis. I think it perfectly fine that your peers are enjoying themselves here. Oh no, that was the wrong thing to say. I suppose you must attend in order to engage the attention of the ladies who are also eager to make their appearances. An astute observation, if any. It would also do to acknowledge the role our host plays in assuring my presence. But do not disregard that there are several pursuits available to us that are not so suitable for young ladies such as yourself: hunting, fishing, and several other forms of sport. Oh man, look at this. We're not going to say that. And which of those particular activities do you enjoy most, Mr. Curtis? I'm fond of riding, and I'm proficient enough in all other endeavors as expected, but they do not fill me with joy. This guy has, like, I'm sure he has a personality in there behind the books. I suppose that is because you prefer to spend your time and efforts cultivating your mind, if my memory serves. I recall that you favor music, art, and above all, the enduring power of literature. Indeed, Miss Rivers, you are correct on all accounts. This has turned out to be quite an enjoyable way to pass the time, surprising as it is. So perhaps you shan't appear so fierce the next time I am overwhelmed with the need to ask you a question? I believe that would depend on the nature of your question, Miss Rivers. Hey, Salem. Oh man, they're gonna make me do something. Oh! He's coming to call. What would you serve them? Jam. Okay. He's coming to our house. This is going really well. I feel like all the other guys, I like had so much trouble finding them sometimes. This guy is like everywhere I look, he's there. Pardon me, miss. Mr. Curtis is here to see you. Thank you, Bessie. Please show him in. Yes, ma'am. How do you do, Miss Rivers? You look quite well, though I do hope I am not interrupting anything. Should I say that I was thinking about him? That seems really forward. Yikes. Okay, yeah, that was really forward. Not at all. You are most welcome, Mr. Curtis. Alas, it is quite I can't speak. Alas, oh my goodness. Alas, as it is quite a lovely day. I got through it. Might I trespass on your time and suggest taking a turn about the woods? Indeed you may, particularly as you have come to issue your invitation in person. Or was it this one? That sounds like a wonderful idea. I am more than happy to oblige you. Okay, either would have worked. Woods. I am fond of days such as these. There is a gentle breeze, just enough to tease the soft rustling in the leaves. If one closes their eyes to listen to the nature surrounding them, they would doubtlessly be transformed. Ooh. He's a poet. You can criticize him for being so poetic. You have such a way with words, Mr. Curtis, not just in their formation, but in your speech and dictation. I dare say I'm quite fond of listening to your voice. I'm not often the recipient of such compliments, Miss Rivers, but it is appreciated. It is encouraging to know that there is so much untapped beauty around us. Perhaps this, and no other trivial concoction, is the true inspiration for poets and painters alike. Okay. What fills me with wonder is the knowledge that both words and woods will continue beyond time. Thus is the course of nature and the cycle of man. Your observation is quite lovely, if a little idealistic. I do not doubt that man will always need words, but woods, I'm afraid they will begin to perish as the years go on. Now that I have divulged the primary reason behind my preference for such walks, may I inquire as to yours? It offers me the chance to reflect on the worlds, the people I know, and sometimes, though this is the most dangerous of tasks, on my own character. A very dangerous endeavor indeed. But indeed, it is quite a marvelous day. I apologize if you find my continuous declarations tedious, but they bear to be repeated. The day is quite charming, Mr. Curtis, but I dare say I would not have enjoyed this walk half as much if I had embarked on the endeavor alone. Your company only heightens my appreciation for what we have. He wasn't happy with that. You have no need to apologize. I very much concur with your sentiments. Now he smiles. Everything I'm like, oh, I'll be super nice to him. He's just like, I am very glad to hear it. I very much enjoyed our walk, Miss Rivers, and it is something I would not loathe to repeat. He's like, I wouldn't hate seeing you again. I am most grateful for your visit, Mr. Curtis. I hope the rest of your day will be just as pleasant. And yours. Yay. La. This is going well. Take the waters. We're going to bath. Oh, I don't remember. 6 shillings. Whoop. Okay, a horse. All right, awesome. Okay, let's bring him over again, shall we? Mr. Curtis is here to see you again. My dear Bessie, you seem to be entirely too pleased about seeing him. Yes, but he is only pleased about seeing you, miss. Miss Rivers, I hope you've been keeping well. I've been keeping well. You've been keeping me all right. No. Mr. Curtis, it is certainly a pleasure to see you again, and so soon after our last encounter. If you are not otherwise engaged, may I entreat you to join me on a walk? Oh my goodness! I'm not saying that. Certainly, Mr. Curtis, shall we? You ring for Bessie, who seems to be altogether too happy to act as your chaperone again. Oh, thank you, finally, game, for telling us that there's a chaperone. Oh, I love this part. I'm half agony, half hope. You pierce my soul. I am half agony, half hope. Tell me that I am not too late, that such precious feelings are gone forever. What a great book. You seem to be rather quiet, Miss Rivers. Is there perchance anything occupying your thoughts? Let's see. Ask about his childhood. Make fun of him. Let's say this. Oh, I did not think you would notice. If you must know, I was trying to imagine what you must have been like as a child. Surely there are better things to ponder. There really isn't much to tell. I was birthed by my mother, as children tend to be, raised throughout the years, as boys often are, and went to Oxford, as gentlemen are wont to do. A rather tedious tale. You are being purposefully evasive with your answer, Mr. Curtis, and I do not appreciate it. Oh, dang. Okay. But even you, as wise and worldly as you are, must not have held your current esteem while in the cradle. Oh, man, he's not happy with any of this. What about your father? What was he like? And your friends and acquaintances, apart from Mr. Worthington, of course. What kind of people are they? Oh, my goodness. Okay, I literally cannot go right here. Perhaps I need to go back further. That's going to talk about that. Will joking with him be a good thing? Thoughts? Are you suggesting we ladies are entitled to such things? My dear Mr. Curtis, you will surely be shunned for holding such a radical opinion. And before I am distanced by my peers, will you share with me the nature of your thoughts, unacceptable as they may be? Now I simply must know. How is it that a young man in possession of a good fortune came to not only prefer solitude over the company of others, but also to become so severely misunderstood by his peers? How indeed? There really isn't much to tell. I was birthed by my mother, as children tend to be, raised through the years as boys often are, and went to Oxford as gentlemen are wont to do. A rather tedious tale. So no matter what, I'm getting to this point where he's going to be upset no matter what. I suppose not. Let us continue our walk and cease this useless prattle. As you wish. I am sorry if I have offended you. Come, let us take pleasure in silence. You continue your walk until you reach your house, at which point Mr. Curtis bids you farewell. Oh, it is only a novel. Whoa, I have 24 motivation. And get everything the same level. Alrighty. Should I keep going? Here he comes again. So, like, I mean, why not? Mr. Curtis seems to be making his calls quite regular. Ow, ow. Miss Amelia, I am sure you cannot guess who is calling on you. Oh, my dear Bessie, it must be Mr. Curtis, for you were never so enthusiastic about my other guests. Oh, but he is so handsome and polite. Miss Rivers, I hope I have not called at a bad time. Did you see that one? I was certainly on the verge of enjoying the day. Not at all. It is always a pleasure to be in your company. Bessie serves tea while surreptitiously glancing at both yourself and Mr. Curtis. I was perusing my library one evening of late and chanced upon a collection of Donne's holy sonnets. I recalled that you have not yet been acquainted with the poems, and this must be rectified. Mr. Curtis withdraws a duodecimo, there's a word there, from his waistcoat pocket and gives it to you. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh my, but that is so beautiful, and the pages are so delicate. The binding is so intricate. This must be very old and very rare. It is one of the first editions and took several years to acquire. I thought that perhaps you would like to keep this copy. After all, it is quite a travesty that the Holy Sonnets do not already exist in your library. I am very honored. I wish I could find the words to express my gratitude, but they seem quite insignificant in comparison to your gift. Truly, I thank you. Think nothing of it. I believe I shall take my leave now. Thank you for the tea. Please do come again, Mr. Curtis. You need not bring anything save yourself, as it is your company that I most enjoy. Indeed. Mr. Darcy's second proposal. I forget what the word is. You are too something to trifle with me. Generous. You're too generous. Okay, doing good. Propriety. Save him at dance. To be mourning implies that all the above. Nope, never mind. Not all the above. That one was all the above. Okay, I feel like this might be a good time to save the game. Save, empty, right here. And leave that for next time because I don't see him being super forthcoming with his next visit. So I think that's a good place to stop. We saw a lot more of him in this first episode than we have of any other suitor in the first episode or even sometimes the second episode. So that was pretty cool. Let me know what you guys think of this guy. And join me next week, same time, same place, when we will play some more. It's going to be great. All right. Thank you so much. Goodbye.